Too much time on my hands, and it's taking away from me. Time on my hands, taking away, and I don't know what to do with myself. Bubba, we've said it, and it's true. America is at a crossroads, and I believe this video and audio that we're about to play will kind of emphasize that. The crossroads and the decision is as follows, and it really is this simple. Do we now want to continue on the current path toward a more socialistic, soft tyranny, European-style government, or do we want to turn back to the original intent of the role of government as is laid down by the Founding Fathers? That's where we are.
Well, and the question is this: do we want to continue on a European model, which has not really worked, or do we want to get back, as you said, to the American model that has bred excellence and world leadership for over 200 years, but is quickly fading away under the ideology of liberal humanism? And just a little clip here. Some of you have seen this on the internet already. It has Ronald Reagan speaking, and it also, you will hear, you'll know Ronald Reagan by his voice. And those of you not familiar with him, maybe too young to remember the Gipper, you will notice it's a little older. You'll be able to tell by the sound of it. It's older audio, and that will also be contrasted with the likes of Barney Frank, the Wicked Witch of the West, Nancy Pelosi, President Barack Obama, and others, and listen to what they're saying versus what Ronald Reagan is saying, and how proud he is to stand up for things that people are somewhat embarrassed about now that we should be proud of.
Yeah, the bottom line is, what is the true role of our government? And here's the clip. You'll hear audio if you don't have the Ustream. If you've got the Ustream, you can watch the video, and Helmsley's going to also put it on our website. It's there now at rickandbubba.com under show notes. So if you can't see it, you can go to our website and watch it at your convenience. And here it is.
Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Give us more authority and more ability.
All of this talk about rules, we make them up as we go along.
A government can't control the economy without controlling people. And they know when a government sets out to do that, it must use force and coercion to achieve its purpose.
Put the legislation together to control the people.
We go through the gate's closed, we'll go over the fence is too high, we'll pole vault in. If that doesn't work, we'll parachute in, but we're going to get health care reform passed.
They also knew, those founding fathers, that outside of its legitimate functions, government does nothing as well or as economically as the private sector of the economy.
There needs to be a focus on an immediate increase in spending.
I mean, I do think at a certain point you've made enough money.
The more the plans fail, the more the planners plan.
You're telling me we got to go spend money to keep from going bankrupt? The answer, yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
We have so many people who can't see a fat man standing beside a thin one without coming to the conclusion the fat man got that way by taking advantage of the thin one.
I think there are a lot of very rich people out there whom we can tax at a point down the road and recover some of this money.
The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so.
They'll be crying out for public options.
It's the cost, I think, of having the kind of America that we want to have.
Our natural unalienable rights are now considered to be a dispensation of government. And freedom has never been so fragile, so close to slipping from our grasp as it is at this moment.
I don't worry about the Constitution on this, to be honest.
What good is reading the bill if it's 1,000 pages?
We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Those voices don't speak for the rest of us. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth.
There have been times where America's shown arrogance.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
There it is. Boy, you talk about just putting it all in a nutshell. I don't know who put that together, but it was well done.
That was early Ronald Reagan.
Right. Now, he was concerned then.
Yes.
And that looked like that came out of the early 60s or late 50s.
That's still the black and white day.
Right. So,
he would have a conniption now. The Gipper.
Of course, he probably wouldn't be near as upset as the Founding Fathers, but still go ahead.
Oh, Rick, good gracious. And coming up in this election, we have such a choice to make. And unfortunately, if some of these things go into place and get finalized into law and into our government, we will never, ever be able to turn back from it.
It is 35 minutes past the hour. The Rick and Bubba Show. Dave Ramsey joins us as promised. Of course, syndicated radio talk show host, Fox Business Channel, Fox contributor. I mean, you see Dave everywhere. He's in whatever channel needs financial advice, there goes Dave. Coming to Atlanta this fall to help small business leaders and families get control of their money, and now more than ever. We'll tell you all about those events. They're also listed at rickandbubba.com already on show notes, and also, of course, at daveramsey.com. Dave, welcome back to the show. Long time no talk.
Hey, guys, how are you?
You know what? We're doing great. How about yourself?
Better than I deserve, man.
Yeah, well, look.
Dave, I know you're doing well, and we're just glad to have you back on. We always have a good time with you, and we see you on TV a lot, so we feel like we're staying in touch even though you can't see us back.
Absolutely. Oh, you never know, dude.
Boy, Dave, I mean, right now, of course.
Oh, what a mess.
The real Greg Burgess wants to know if you can move in and live with him for 6 months. I told him I thought that was out of the question.
Well, I know. Personal advice up close.
I mean, you got Financial Peace University, but, I mean, we may need a more intense program.
Yeah, how about
it's called
this?
7 Days of Dave.
How about this? How about Financial Peace Trade School?
And you have like a gun and you threaten us if we don't go by.
Hey,
the boot camp version.
Yeah,
there it is.
Well,
run laps.
Let's kind of now. I know Speedy said he was telling you about this. Are you familiar with the Rick and Bubba contest that involves you?
Well, he was just telling me for the first time, dude. That's seriously funny.
Yeah, it's called "Is It Dave or Is It Gene?" And we read comments made about financial decisions, and they have to determine whether Gene Simmons said it or Dave Ramsey.
And Gene may be deeply insulted by this.
You know what? You'd be surprised how hard it is to tell which one.
Yeah, it really is, because when we were putting it together, we were kind of laughing about it, and of course you both lead your life in different ways.
Boy, there's the understatement of the day.
But when it comes to handling money, it's amazing how similar your ideas are.
Yeah, he's a pretty hardcore business guy, and pretty conservative too politically.
Right. Now, morally, you and him kind of take off on different tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might have a different value system there.
Let's talk a little bit now. Atlanta has got some pretty big events coming up, and we want to focus today a little bit on the small business owner. Now, on
you mean the bread and butter of America?
The bread and butter. We're going to have a one-day event in Atlanta on October the 1st, and then there's going to be a Total Money Makeover live in Atlanta on the 2nd, and then another one going the 16th in Raleigh, North Carolina. And then another one in Orlando that are coming up over the next couple of months. 3 in October, 2 in November that are in Rick and Bubba areas. So go to daveramsey.com and also rickandbubba.com to find out. Let's talk a little bit about the one-day event on the 1st that will be focused on the small business owner because, hey, you talk about somebody that's getting pummeled right now.
Well, they're getting hammered, and they've got to have somebody, not just with the money side of things, but with the leadership side of things. You know, small business employs 64% of the people in America. Most people don't work for a big company. Most people work for a small business. So economically speaking, when you want to create jobs, that's the guy and the gal that's doing it, that's out there. And I've been a small business guy my whole life. I still am. I mean, we've got 300 team members. That's a bigger business than it used to be, but by definition, it's still a small business. I mean, we're no General Motors or Dell or something like that. And so what we've done is we took our championship playbook, the stuff that we have done to grow our business from a card table in my living room to be the success that we are today, and we go through how to hire and how to fire. We go through how to set goals and time manage. We go through how the financial peace principles apply to small business, and we unpack that stuff. We call it entree leadership. It's a combination of entrepreneurism and leadership.
You know, Dave, we're kind of confused when we look at what some of our politicians are trying to do with their taxing and the changing in policies and the way they're trying to tax this transaction, that transaction. A lot of that's already been approved and going to kick in. And I know people are going to have questions about that, but I mean, aren't we killing the golden goose here? Don't we need small business to thrive, as you said, because it is kind of the backbone of our economy? And isn't that what's lacking right now?
Well, it is, and, it's not a Republican or Democrat discussion. It's just kind of a economic common sense discussion. And instead of trying to control everything and manipulate everything from one point, that point being Washington, D.C., hey, here's an idea. Take your hands off the wheel. Because it looks to me like the car's going down the road and the Republicans are jerking the wheel one way and the Democrats are jerking the wheel the other way. I wish they'd just let go and let it roll. I mean, let's have a Carrie Underwood economy. Let Jesus take the wheel.
Yeah, you remember back during, I guess it was Bush Sr., when the Democrats said that they would shut the government down if they didn't get what they wanted. Those days that it was shut down felt very good to me.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of people said, okay.
Because when
let's try this for 9 months out of the year.
When it was shut down, we knew no new taxes, no ridiculous programs. We knew that they were not having meetings to make our life tougher. And we're small business as well. And we meet them a lot, Dave, and I know you do too. And you're hearing the same thing we are. They're scared to death to hire anybody.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that the uncertainty in the marketplace, meaning we don't know if the Bush tax cuts are going to be put back in, and if they are put back in, what they're going to look like. That uncertainty, followed by the economic uncertainty that goes with it, the uncertainty created by their continuous, ridiculous borrowing level to, quote, stimulate the economy, which has really worked well so far.
Well done. Well done.
And, I'm feeling really stimulated at this point. I don't think so. So, by the time you go through all of these kinds of things and you look at it, you just go, guys, if you just leave us alone and promise to leave us alone, that certainty in the marketplace would cause the marketplace to pretty quickly heal and take off again.
Yeah, and that's
this constant freaking mad scientists screwing around with it by both parties in their arrogance, thinking they're going to fix something so they get the credit. Shut up and leave us alone.
Dave, too, it kind of gets down to this political football called rich. And I think when you talk about small business people, you see some numbers come through of what people are making in their business, and you think, well, they're rich, they need to pay more taxes, they need to be taxed for health insurance, this, that. But in reality, it is, quote-unquote, rich people who hire other people.
Well, it is, and it's a pretty simple equation. If I own a small business and I have 100 apples, am I going to take those 100 apples all home? Well, honestly, not if I'm smart.
Right.
If I'm smart, I'm going to reinvest into my business. What does that look like? Well, I create marketing plans. I create new products to put in the marketplace with some of the apples. Yeah, I'm going to take some of them home. I worked for those apples, and I'm also going to hire people with some of those apples. But if the government comes along and says, hey, you got 100, you're doing better than everybody else, and so, our current spirit of envy that is spread across this land elected us, and so we're going to take 20 of your apples. Well, now I got 80 apples. Now I'm going to take some home because I'm going to do that, and that means somebody doesn't get hired. It's a simple freaking mathematical equation that a sixth grader can grasp, but these morons in Washington can't.
Yeah, and my favorite.
Thank you, Dave.
My favorite, Dave, is when they turn around. And your scenario is exactly right. It's not complicated. I'm a C student from Calhoun County, and I get it. But then they will choke the small businessman, freak him out, scare him to death, create an environment that he cannot function in, and then get on the TV and rant and rave because they're not hiring anybody.
Yeah, well, and talk about how they, spent billions of dollars to create 3 jobs that cost us $1 million apiece to create a job that pays $30,000. And how they have been productive. And government's just a parasite. They're a tick on the butt of America.
Which our founding fathers seem to understand, and we have forgotten.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not a conservative thing. It's not a libertarian thing. It's not a Republican thing. It's not a Democrat. It's a basic econ thing.
It's math,
and from people out here trying to operate small businesses. It's very difficult to find a small business person that won't say, when you say that, regardless of who they voted for.
And, Dave, I don't know if you saw one of the studies out. Several groups have done studies on stimulus money spent versus jobs created. And right now we're averaging $11 million for every new job created.
Yeah, I mean, we're just dadgum rocket scientists.
I mean, boy, it's really getting to where the rubber hits the road, isn't it?